I was wrong in doing what I did.
No! Are you listening?
Sean here, and one of the things I've learned about Lorne through watching someone else is what his real addiction is, and why he is the way he is, and whether or not he would actually change. I'll just mention it briefly, so bear with me. Dark Side Pill was on a podcast recently. I watched it over the weekend. We had Keemstar on there. Keemstar, one of the most popular YouTubers, can retire right now, made a bunch of money. We find out that Dark Side Pill at one point was offered $50,000, no questions asked, and 25% ownership in a podcast that would feature fellow lolcows, Boogie, and Wings of Redemption. So many people would have watched that. So many. Phil had the opportunity on this podcast to come clean about everything he was confronted with that had evidence. The WWE Champions thing could have been settled. Just show them your account, Phil. Show them your username. And he wouldn't, because he claimed it would endanger his family. So fast forward to the next day. And what is he doing for the next 3 days? He is still, we're talking 3 or 4 days after, still moving his schedule around to go on these rants about how he was railroaded, about how they were lying, everyone else is lying, he's the only one that's telling the truth. Who does that sound like? Lorne Lynn Armstrong. And the truth about Lorne is that even if God himself or herself, whatever you believe, comes down, replays his entire life, even what he's thinking, over top of it, at the time, Lorne would deny it. And not only would he deny it, but he would tell the Almighty, well, it was the detractors, which is what Phil says all the time. It was the catfish, and it was this, and it was that. Well, just like Dark Side Phil, who immediately used that podcast as a justification for begging and for lying and for everything else that he was doing, that is what Lorne does. They are both addicted to being victims. Lorne isn't some super genius, we know that. But what he is good at is manipulation and gaslighting. We talked about all that. But without these people to help him be the victim, without people to be able to listen to him, if nobody hears him, maybe he feels like it isn't true. Imagine being Aunt Sharon or fucking Uncle Clayton. Imagine being those people, Roy. And you got this guy every day, well, you know, Mom, I'd have a good job if it wasn't for these freaking catfish out there, you know. Lorne, you keep falling for it. There's a reason he keeps falling for it. He needs it. He desperately needs it. If Lorne was a streamer, if he had any kind of sense, if he was still on YouTube, every day, oh, I can't get a job. Every time I try to get a job, even the people in this chat, they call, they try to get me kicked off the platform. I shared a video earlier of all of the times DSP said a whole bunch of shit about Twitch or Curse or Machinima and about how he doesn't need them, and then he goes forward. I did nothing wrong. And it shows all the clips of him doing things wrong. That's Lorne. The biggest clip of all time, Chris Hansen walking in, Lorne getting busted, those phone calls, the chat, everything. All he had to do, like DSP, all he had to do was come clean. People might have started respecting him. Okay, wow, you came out. That took a lot of courage for you to come out and admit you've been spending, tens of thousands of dollars on a Candy Crush wrestling game and you have an addiction. But what did he do? Well, I played it before. I'd spend a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there, but I beat that. I no longer have to do that. We know that liars will admit to just enough to get the heat off of them. They'll admit to part of it, like Dustin, if you've been listening to Shen's videos like I have in the mornings. The amount of times I have heard the great Babsby, I don't know if it was actually happening, slam her forehead into the screen, listening to this moron, listening to Lorne lie and lie again and lie again, be confronted with evidence, not tell the truth. she's going through those chat logs, which I highly recommend you read. I recommend that again, you listen to. You don't want to read them. You have to listen to her do it because she does it so much better. And her Lorne voice is really funny, and she makes it tolerable, because if not, you're going to want to go just beat the crap out of this guy. It's funny sometimes to laugh at him, but in reality, in real life, Lorne can't step outside of his little bubble. Because if he does, I picture it like this, the movie Up. He's the old man living in a little house in the middle of this giant city, this metropolitan city that has advanced in technology, structures. He comes out and it's like, whoa, the world has changed around me. Look at how much it's changed. But I've been living in this house. I haven't really seen any of it. I don't really know if that's the plot of Up, but I did see that part. That's Lorne. If he steps out of that trailer, gets out of Cornville, and sees how far the world's progressed, and sees what the internet has become, and the fact that YouTube is replacing traditional media, Spotify, Twitch, all that stuff, Lorne would be shocked. He would never be able to catch up. He'd still be watching Little House on the Prairie because it's what he knows. He wouldn't evolve. And without the victimhood, without him playing the victim, all of that stuff he now has to face. Look at all the crazy news coming out. 4-year-olds trying to make 4-year-olds be allowed to say, Mommy, I think I'm a girl. Son, you just learned how to use crayons. All right, barbaric surgery, let's go. Stuff like that we're used to. We've just become accustomed to this insanity. He would implode, especially since he's untreated. And part of his self-medication is playing the victim. It's how he copes. It's a coping mechanism. Every time he talks to a woman, what does he do? Oh, it's all the catfish and this and that and this and that. And then he'll try to get one up on them and go, did Xavier tell you that? You working for Xavier? What about the time you did this? That's all he has. Take the catfish away, and what does he have? We know. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Family members that don't want anything to do with him. Roy, who's desperately trying to get away, but keeps coming back. He went up to Bangor, whatever you want to say. Came back because he couldn't do it. Because when you have an addiction, and Roy has an addiction, it takes all your money away. And just like Lorne, when he's done with these catfish women, he has to have another catfish, because that catfish has to listen to him talk about the previous catfishes, and the cycle goes on, and he just leapfrogs to the next failure. If you make yourself a victim, if you hold yourself down, you're never going to be successful, because if you're a victim, you have no victory. Wow, that was cheesy, but it's the truth. If you make all your money, if your life revolves around being a victim, being the target of everyone else, and you never rise above, you're done. How many of us every day are asked to do things we don't want to do? We're faced at work. Some of us dealing with, tons of millions of dollars worth of projects, and no one's paying attention to you, and you feel isolated. But you get up and you come into work anyway. Some of you go to jobs where you're not being compensated for how valuable you are, but you go into work anyway. Lorne's not going to go to work, because going to work, getting a job, it's going to make him, in his mind, successful. He's also going to be beholden to the rules and the regulations of that job. Keemstar offering DSP $50,000, no question asked. DSP won't take it, because if that podcast is successful, which it would be, and he was making that much money, the bottom line is he would be beholden to them. He would have responsibility. He couldn't come back and play the victim. He couldn't come back and beg. He needs that. His wife, Kat, she's a captive audience. I mean, literally a captive. Because if he's verbally and mentally abusive to the viewers, what's it going to be like to her behind closed doors? She has to listen to him rail, I'm sure, all the time about being a victim. No one wants to be around those people. They're toxic. It just bubbles over. It seeps into your life, and before you know it, you can be toxic too. It's a bunch of vampires in a nest. They eventually become vile and angry, spiteful. It's not healthy. You get into a marriage where you feel you're trapped. If you ever feel you're trapped, just force yourself out. Claw your way out. Lorne, DSP had something like $500,000 in debt. Lorne has what, 50,000? More, 100,000? I don't even know what it is. But bankruptcy couldn't even save him. And I think next time he files bankruptcy, which he probably will try to do again, because I'm sure that's what he's counting on. I'll just take all this money out and I'll file bankruptcy again. I hope he loses his trailer, his land, any kind of vehicle he has. He needs to hit rock freaking bottom. To be humbled. To realize I'm the architect of my own demise. He can't. His world has shrunk down to one man and one man only. And occasionally a catfish will be on the line, or some person that just wants to feel important and talk to Lorne, or those douchebags who go and visit him and enable him. All it takes is one person for him to be able to tell, I'm a victim, and he's okay with that. If I was Lorne, someone in his life, if they could ever get through to him, I would look at my life and go, wow, everyone in the world is telling me this. But of course, Lorne can't do this. Or someone to say, Lorne, look where you're at, man. You need to get out of there. Attack what they're trying to make you do. Go in there and get it done. Annoy them. Annoy probation and parole. Pester them about things that you need to do. Make them go, oh my God, this guy's really trying. This guy cares. And really care about it, Lorne. Better yourself. Because you'll be a better person. Well, does that mean I have to ignore all the catfish and not answer the phone and I have to go get a real job? Yes, Lorne. You have to go get a real job and you have to be financially responsible. Well, I would do that, but I've done it before and it's not going to work. Being a victim is addictive. Because you can go through life. Now, it'll catch up with you. But you can go through life, go through jobs, and each time you go into a job, oh, well, it wasn't my fault. It's the person above me. It's another person. It's the person below me. It's everyone trying to make my life miserable. And you haven't learned how to defend yourself yet or ignore it? I do. Now, once a month, I advise everyone to do this. Psychologically, mentally. If you're depressed, if you're feeling down, if the weight of the world is bearing down on you, you're allowed a day. You're allowed a day to cry. You're allowed a day to let it out, to vent. Do it. Just do it. Get it out of your system. But don't do it in a toxic way. And don't carry it over to the next day. It should be therapeutic. You should feel better. It may not work for everyone, but it's something that people are often told that have that victim mentality. The whole world is a victim right now. Everyone's a victim. Everyone's offended. The reason I'm not successful is this, or that, or this. Whatever it is. But Lorne can't move past it. Again, we could all sit around, show him his life, point out the error of his ways. We're going to get it. Yeah. And I think until he gets past that, we're going to see the same guy stuck in the tutorial, never making it to level 1, constantly going backwards until he eventually takes the freaking game out of the console and puts it back in its case, and that's where he'll be, right back to square one. So to be honest with you, do I think Lorne will change? No. Do I think rock bottom would fix him? No. Do I think God himself could fix Lorne? No. Lorne uses whatever money he has to buy cigarettes. If he could, he'd buy alcohol and lottery tickets. He's still under that I'm going to get rich quick scheme. He starts projects and then abandons them once he realizes he's not going to get money right away. I mean, this is a guy who takes advances out on work he's going to do, so he's already behind. I just don't think there's any hope for him. And a good woman isn't going to fix him. Someone living with him isn't going to fix him. He's not going to be fixed. That's just my opinion. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, this is